Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Golf Business Live. I'm your host, Michael Williams, bringing it to you as we always do, the best of golf as we see it, and hopefully as you see it. We got another great show for you today. I just want to say, as you can see, my story and flags back here. My latest adventure was at Primland Resort up at Meadows of Dan, Virginia, just on the North Carolina border. I just want to say thanks again to those folks for a unbelievable stay, unbelievable hospitality that they showed there. It's sort of like, I call it a black ops resort. And if you ever want to go someplace where you can play golf and fish and hunt and, pretty much do everything else that's fun in the world, try Primland. It's a pretty good spot. So today we're going to talk about something that really is near and dear to my heart, is making the game available to everyone. And when we talk about the game, that's a really big movement. That's a very big initiative that we see, making the game available. But when we say everyone, we really want to say everyone. And there's a group of people out there who are making sure that anyone and everyone has access to game and also can really perform at the highest level in the game and in their own personal lives. I have so much admiration for these folks and working with people with disabilities and wounded warriors and that sort of thing. And there's no one who's doing more work in that field right now than my next guest. He is the executive director of the National Alliance for Accessible Golf. Please welcome my good friend, Dave Barton. Dave, how are you, my good friend?
I'm great, Michael. It's great to see you again. How have you been?
I've been wonderful. You look great as always, aging in reverse. Got to get your secret, some sort of cream or something you're using, just share. Okay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've got a face for radio, as we've talked about before. and I appreciate that generous introduction. Being new to this particular organization, there are so many people that have led the way for many, many years before I got here. So we're just kind of picking up the torch and rolling with it.
Outstanding. Well, again, just that you're new to the NAAG, but you're not new to us. Many people will recognize you as a familiar face from NGCOA as a fixture in that organization for years. And for those who don't know, though, the Alliance, just give us a brief outline of what the mission and vision is of the organization.
Sure. The National Alliance for Accessible Golf was formed a little over 20 years ago by a group of golf organizations and therapeutic specialists who just saw a need to try to improve the opportunities for individuals with disabilities to participate in the game of golf. So that's really the basis of what it was founded on. About 12 years ago, we started giving away grant money. And to date, we've given away about $1 million in grants, probably over 130 grants. So certainly a good number, but my aspiration now is for us to look for ways to do more in that area and look at where else we can contribute across the injury in this particular space.
And when we talk about what the landscape is for access, for this group of constituents that you're working with, what are we looking at right now? What is it like when we talk about accessible golf? Is it something that has come a long way? We still have a long way to go. What's it like in your mind?
Yeah, I think it's been around for a long time. I mean, I've got some associates of mine that created their own adaptive wheelchairs a long time ago. The ADA was written about 30 years ago regarding what businesses had to do to make their services and offerings accessible. Mm-hmm. Golf is not specifically mentioned at that, and that's mostly the buildings. But I'd say in the last few years, very positive momentum and movement. Certainly post Iraq and Afghanistan, there's a lot of veterans coming home, and that has brought a lot of attention to this with some of their disabilities. And that's the best thing about what we do is I'm a veteran myself, of course, but and I love supporting those programs. But our alliance looks for veteran programs, non-veteran programs, parks, golf courses, hospitals, with ways to support them that are helping people therapeutically and physically, get in the game of golf and kind of get back into the social fabric of life.
Mm-hmm. And when we talk about accessibility again, you mentioned people with physical disabilities, wounded warriors, and we've seen really, I think, an outpouring of love and honor and respect for that group of people. But you serve a wider range of people who have disabilities that maybe aren't so apparent. Talk about how you have this wide range of people that you're actually serving in the golf community.
Yeah, absolutely. Clearly the physical disabilities that folks can see, whether it's wheelchairs or prosthetic arms and legs and those sorts of things are very easy to see. But we're also in this space with sensory, sight and hearing disabilities, neurological, intellectual disabilities. We do a lot of work with the Special Olympics. And, the whole thing about access is, access is simply how, any golfer would get from point A to point B. And in our case, that's the parking lot to the first tee and maybe to the 19th hole when you're done playing. So we spend a lot of time when we can, and we always say yes when asked to speak and help educate organizations about what accessibility means, what the requirements are. The ADA can be a complicated document, but we work hard to simplify it and distill it down into usable parts so we can help owners and operators understand that it's not as daunting of a task as they may think. I'd say the vast majority of golf course owners and operators work hard daily to comply and do their best to be accessible and welcoming. And all we do is look for ways to help them understand new and unique ways they can do that.
Mm-hmm. And, growing up in Washington and the household of a federal government employee, I'm very familiar with ADA, which is the American Disabilities Act, for those who may not know, which is the federal law that mandates accessibility for all people, regardless of physical disability. And I guess my question is, does the Alliance help organizations to meet this sort of minimum federal standard, or is your mandate to more go beyond that, to make it not just the bare minimum, but something that makes it accessible and welcoming, for golfers with disabilities?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great question. I mean, we, the ADA is a big government document, and, we've seen those, and then they can be very unwieldy. But they've done a good job of breaking out areas that are more applicable to golf course owners and operators, recreational facilities of all different types, amusement parks and things like that. They all have their subtle differences. But that particular space is where we try to focus. And there's checklists out there that have already been created. And so we serve really beyond the grant distribution that we're very proud of. We hope to serve primarily as a resource and education center, and we compile and have all these documents somewhat readily available and accessible. Whether someone wants to visit our website, they're pretty easy to find, or they want us to speak with them personally, we're happy to do that. But we like to make sure folks understand kind of what the requirements in the law are. We're not enforcers of the law. We don't provide legal advice. We've got access to ADA consultants, which we use all the time. And so what really we want to be, seen as and used as is help. If an owner operator or someone that needs this, nothing makes me happier than to answer the phone or answer the email and help steer them in the right direction in a range of ways from start to finish.
Well, it's always awesome to have, a great resource out there for something when someone has their heart and their business in the right place, to have a resource like you to be able to actually accomplish it. I want to reference the USGA Adaptive Open. I think the first one was held this year. And, the USGA obviously is known for their championships. It's sort of their whole, other than rules, it's their whole raison d'etre, right? Is to put out these amazing championships. This was their first adaptive championship. And no less than the CEO of the USGA, Mike Wan, said that this was I believe he said it was his proudest accomplishment. Talk to us a little bit about the Adaptive Open, what it is, what it was meant to be, and what your feeling was for the amount of success on any level that you had.
Sure. Well, first of all, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, especially in this case, the amazing support we've had from the USGA over the years for our particular alliance. They are instrumental in our ability to distribute grants and be involved as we are. And briefly, too, on that, we've got a lot of other associations, including the NGCOA, are great supporters of ours, the American Society of Golf Course Architects, Builders Association, Management Associations, Club Management, National Clubs. So they're all big proponents of ours and on our board, as a matter of fact. But back to the Adaptive Open, the USGA was kind enough to invite me to go to Pinehurst and to basically observe and just be a spectator for a few days. And I've played a lot of golf in my life, and I've worked with adaptive athletes in the golf area for many years. And I've watched a lot of golf tournaments, professional, amateur, those sort of things. But by far, as a spectator, this was for me the most inspirational event that I've ever had the privilege of watching. Male and female, 96 contestants, ranging in age from a young teenager to over 80 years old, in all sorts of different disability, or excuse me, impairment categories. And it was hot, it was muggy, the conditions were tough, and just to see the level of play, and the joy and excitement that not only the players you could see to have this opportunity at that level, as well as their fans, their friends, their family that were supporting it, was simply phenomenal.
Mm-hmm. Were there any particular stories that stuck out for you? I mean, each and every story was likely a special one. Were there any that really stood out in your mind?
Well, besides me tripping on the way to a tee box and falling down and nobody seeing it, I was just amazed at the level of play, quite honestly, across the board. I mean, I certainly knew that there were adaptive, some players out there with adaptive abilities and golf abilities that can flat out bring it. But there was the range of out there, the range of golfers out there, some that played at a super high competitive level. So I think all in all, just the whole of the event was what really got my attention, and not necessarily, one player in particular, because it was just everywhere you turned, there was nothing but positive energy on every hole for every group and for every player. And so it was fantastic.
Yeah. And then this was the first one, which implies there will be adaptive opens out into the horizon. Are you already planning for the upcoming adaptive open?
Yes, certainly. And of course, this is the USGA's ball, of course, and so I can't speak for them. But as I'm aware, they're going to be having the second one is planned for Pinehurst again, and then they're looking beyond that for what they're going to do next. And they're also the upswing in attention to this particular area of golf has been tremendous, after this event, simply because of the USGA's amazing reach, from a global perspective, regarding, the phones ringing and emails coming in asking about where somebody can learn to play golf like this, or if that particular area has an adaptive vehicle that a seated golfer can use. And so there's some work to be done, though, for sure, because there's a lot of amazing organizations out there. I certainly won't list them all, but United States Disabled Golf Association, United States Adaptive Golf Alliance. There's a lot of organizations that run some fantastic competitions as well, and have been for a long time, and they were all participating in this. And so I think as a community, we're going to have to, work to wrap our hands around some cohesiveness in the direction for these competitive events, so that they, feed into this adaptive open, but also maintain that local and regional flavor that these other organizations have always had with their communities.
Mm. And I know what it takes to do that is a certain type of leadership, and you have no shortage of that, my friend. And part of that comes from your military service, I believe, Navy for over 20 years, correct?
Right. Former Navy pilot. So that was in the good old days. I could even part my hair back in those days. But
what were you flying, Dave, if I may ask?
I flew S-860 Bravo helicopters, and before that, I was a rescue swimmer for a few years. So I used to jump out of H-3s when I was younger and less fearful of things.
Yeah, so crazy after all these years, as the song goes.
Everything in moderation. Everything in moderation.
But I bring it up just to say, because we've already talked about the fact that you work with a wide range of constituents who have different disabilities, and I'm sure you show no favoritism as far as that's concerned, but the fact that you're working with the military must give you a special type of pride and a special type of joy.
Yeah, I still enjoy it, of course, because it, every person has the type of individuals they've either grown up with or spent the majority of their life with, which is kind of what turns into be your kind of core network of who you tend to socialize or hang out with. It's just the way it is. And so I've got the opportunity here in Charleston, which has a fantastic PGA Hope program run by Rich O'Brien. And he does some other amazing things for a new Heroes program for firefighters and police officers and their families. And the best part about these things, too, beyond accessibility and access, is the inclusion aspect of it. So for us, it's great to get folks involved playing golf that have a disability. That's part of it, but the added benefit is the inclusive aspect of it. When now that they're now playing golf with their friends, they may be playing with their family again. They may be just participating again at those levels, not just playing golf. They're also being, to your point earlier, welcomed, into this group of this family we have as golfers around the country.
Well, again, I know firsthand sort of that warmth, that healing embrace, that warm embrace that golf can give you. And I'm sure that I've seen these types of events, and that's manifest by a multiple of 10 when you see all the good, all the benefit that the game can bring to, as you say, the lives of these people on the course and off the course. It's a noble and worthy and needed endeavor. When people want to get involved, whether they're a golf course owner, operator, or not, how do we get connected to the Alliance?
Sure. Well, certainly my information is all out there. I don't ever like to say just go to our website, but that's a great place to start because that's where my contact information is. And y'all are certainly able to share my information after this. We've had a owner and operator toolkit for many years. It's kind of a starter set that we produced and is available to help folks think about how to get started. Programs are different in every location. You need to have a golf pros that want to do this. You've got to have a facility that is desirous of supporting it. And you have to have a, demographic around the area that'll support, group clinics and things like that to get people started from the program level. That's one piece of it. And, but it does start with making sure that, your golf course is able to do it and your staff is trained up and understands how to communicate with individuals with disabilities, because there are certain words and things that are not necessarily as accepted as they used to be. And we also do a lot of education about those sorts of things as well. So it's across the board and a wide range of things. So reach out and contact us. And I do a lot of redirecting to folks. If they've got a certain kind of program, I know where these programs are in the country, and I can connect this person with that type of program, you know? So it's pretty easy for us to do. And then we've got lots of resources as far as things they need to think about if it's their first program. I'm a golf professional myself. I've run programs, and so we can certainly help folks get started.
As my father always said, if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And I know that the Alliance can help people get this done right. Dave, thank you so much for what you're doing. Thank you for your service, of course. And whenever you have something else to tell us about the Alliance, you've got a soapbox to stand on and a megaphone to speak into right here. Okay. Don't be a stranger, my friend.
Well, thank you, Michael. It was great to talk with you again, and I will definitely take you up on that. I promise.
You got it, my friend. That's Dave Barton, the executive director of the National Alliance for Accessible Golf. I'm sitting here listening to Dave talk about the work that he does with veterans, and it reaches me in a very special and personal way, because I mentioned at the beginning, the flags on the wall here. There's a flag that means more than anything else to me, and that's this flag right here, which is the flag that was draped over my father's coffin. And he's in Arlington National Cemetery right now. And anything that anybody does to help people who are willing to sacrifice for our country has my support. And I reckon they have yours too. So again, get involved with this organization because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes it's not as easy to find the right thing to do. In this case, it's right there. It's the right thing to do. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back with House Chat. And you know how we love House Chat. It's always good. I think you're going to love it. So set yourself down, get yourself a beverage, cold beverage, and a crunchy snack, and we'll be right back. Golf Business Live. I'm Michael Williams. See you in a minute. Welcome back to Golf Business Live. I'm your host, Michael Williams, and you might notice this isn't my usual typical studio that you're seeing in the backdrop. It's sort of a amphitheater feel that we have here, and it is one of the best locations that I could possibly bring the show to you from. I'm here at the beautiful Primland Resort, just on the North Carolina-Virginia border in Meadows of Dan, Virginia. They've been hosting me and showing every bit of hospitality that they're famous for. It's an unbelievably wonderful, beautiful golf course and resort facility. I encourage you, as Ferris Bueller said, if you have the means, I highly recommend it. So we're going to talk a little bit today about one of the things that's most important about keeping those numbers up at golf courses, which is entertaining golfers. People just don't want to play golf now. They want to be entertained. And that's something that's really particular to this new group of golfers that we were fortunate enough to get during the pandemic. They've come to the game and they found it to be somewhat fun, but they really want to be entertained on a long-term basis. There are a number of people who have some answers for this, but none more so than our next guest. He is the founder of Golf Surprize. Please welcome to the show, Anthony Robinson. Anthony, welcome to GBL. How are you, my friend?
I'm very well, Michael. Thank you for having me on, and please excuse the strange accent. You might have heard it a lot, as I know you been down under quite a bit. And we met this time last year at the NGCOA event near Pebble Beach.
Right.
It's nearly a year since I've seen you, and I'm very excited to be on the show today.
Well, I've missed you so, and thank you so much for going on the show and being a guest. And believe me, I do a lot of Australian TV, as you might know, so the accent sounds, I can understand you better than I can understand some of my friends from New Jersey. So you're doing just fine, my friend. So as I alluded to in open to this particular segment, it's the entertainment of golfers that really getting that next step beyond just having a beautiful golf course, having great facility. I mean, there's expected things that come with those things, and you have to nail those. But now there's another step about entertaining golfers and making sure that there's something fun out there. And I think Golf Surprize is really all about that. Tell me a little bit about how you came up with the idea and really what Golf Surprize is.
Yeah, so the idea of Golf Surprize basically came about watching some PGA pros win PGA Tour events. I think it was Victor Hovland a few years ago won an event, and the interviewer said to him, "How did you go? You must be excited about winning this event." And Victor was quite he was a little bit depressed at the way he played. He won by 6 shots, but he kept on telling the interviewer he could have played better. And the idea came to me that all golfers feel like that. We always think we could have played better. So I looked at prizes and what you win in golf, and I thought, why not be able to win for all the stray shots we hit? Why not be able to win for missing the shortest putt? Why not be able to win something for hitting the ball into the Atlantic Ocean instead of the 12th fairway? These are not shots we dream of hitting, but they are a reality of golf. And they are certainly a reality of golf for new golfers to the game. And that's what we've got, some 3 million new golfers to the game, thanks to what's happened with the pandemic. So we need to be able to retain these golfers and making it more fun, giving them little prizes along the way, little rewards for coming to play and playing, not hitting shots that they want to hit, but, those shots, we're all going to hit them anyway. So we reward players for hitting stray shots as well as great shots. And that's the difference with Golf Surprize.
That is definitely a difference. I have not heard of that concept before. I think it'll catch on like wildfire.
Well, we also, when I came out, and I actually was in the States for 9 weeks last year to do a bit of research and to, sort of channel what Golf Surprize was going to be in the States and find out what the problems was. And I went to quite a few conferences, and I listened to all the problems that the owners and operators were having. And one of the big ones that stood out for me was staffing and employment. You've got all these new golfers to the game, but it's very, very difficult to retain staff. And then to train staff for all these new products coming out is a very, very difficult thing to do. So when I came out last year to the States, we had actually the administration of Golf Surprize was all about the owner-operator and teaching them how to use it. We've since refined that to now the golf renters themselves. So there is no administration for your staff and your employees to learn. It's a lot simpler. And that was one of the things that you would only find out if you came and listened to people talk and listen to operators and what their real issues are. And the NGCOA has been fantastic with that. We've done focus groups. We've been really involved in trying to figure out what the problems are and then weave our solutions into those specific problems and those areas.
Interesting. Well, one of the problems that always exists, I would say the problems, one of the sort of ongoing conditions for golf course owners and operators is to have predictable and, if possible, additional revenue streams. So does Golf Surprize give owners and operators an opportunity to generate revenue through this particular amenity?
Absolutely. So let me go back to the 1 in 8 tee times, hiding surprises behind those tee times. So what we've done is basically you might have a course, your course might have signage on the 3rd hole, the 5th hole, sponsorships. You might have banners on your website, things like that. Imagine you pack all that into a suitcase called Golf Surprize and you put one little button on your website, and now all your sponsors and all the paid advertising you have for your course is in one little button, and it's hidden behind your tee times that golfers come to check. It's a lot simpler and a lot better value for your sponsors to be able to hide surprises of their own behind those tee times and across the course than it is for you to go out and, and put banners all over your website and put signage all over your course. It's a lot tidier. So what the golfer does, the golfer would actually, it would be free for the golfer to find out if they've won a sponsor's prize, and they would then spend that within the golf club. They might spend it in F&B, they might spend it on a new green fee, or they might spend it on a lesson. You can direct golfers to where you want the money spent, which is fantastic. And what we have is a model where golfers, for example, if they choose to buy stray shot wins, instant rewards, we call it, they pay $6, and $4 out of that $6 must be spent at the course. No questions asked. So $4 will be won back by golfers and spent at the course. And here's the thing about giving away discounts or the difference, I should say, between giving away a discount and letting a golfer win something. Golfers intrinsically, they like to win things. And what we found was when we give away discounts, when we give away credits that aren't particularly asked for by a golfer, they don't spend them at a high rate. When golfers win things, we found that they've spent at a rate of between 2.5 and 2.6, the value of what they won. Wow. So, Michael, if you won $20 to spend in the bar or the restaurant, you would probably, on average, end up spending around $50 in total, which is kind of cool. But if we just gave you $20 off, like a free voucher, only about 35% of people would actually use the voucher. There's a big difference. And that was the one point I really wanted to get across today was when you make golfers win things, they value them a lot more. So how can you make things, how can you weave into your course and your operations ways of golfers winning things for shots they're going to hit, which is stray shots, and good shots as well.
Right.
And how can you make it fun, the whole process fun of even just signing up and booking at your course? So the process should start way back then.
Okay, so where have you installed this? Where can we find this in the United States right now, and how's the reception been?
Well, we're about to team up with the NGCOA and do a few trials and a few courses. And people, course owners, if you're watching this and you want to be part of that trial, I think you should get on board and get in touch with the NGCOA rep there. We've done Kathy Harbin. I have to have a shout out to her. She's one of our biggest fans, and Kathy has been wonderful in Texas at her course in trialing all these different methods we've had target scores with Kathy, instant rewards, and her customers just love it. So thank you to Kathy. In Australia, we're up and running and flying across Australia. But like I said, last year I wanted to come to the States, try a few different things to see what worked, what didn't work, what the problems were, and then work on solutions that fit, your operation. Doesn't matter if you're an operation where you've got private membership or you're a public golf course or you're a 9-hole golf course. The same problem kept coming up, which was staffing issues and training staff. And that's really what we've focused on is administration, not needing to train staff to use it. The golfers enter themselves. So to answer that's a long answer to your question, isn't it? We're just starting out now in the States to trial with NGCOA courses. So I would encourage any course that wants to be part of this to get on board right at the beginning.
Well, you said that it's up and running in Australia, Golf Surprize is. And what do you see as, are there any differences between the Australian golfer, if you will, if you want to generalize the Australian golf market and the U.S. golf market? What differences have you noted, and what changes or adjustments have you made in your product offering to to appeal to the American golfer versus the Australian golf market?
They're hugely different in a lot of ways. Certainly the setup of golf courses. We don't have the luxury of having owners associations. We actually don't have very many owners of golf courses in Australia. We only have about 1,500 courses, and they're all owned by the members of the club. So the club membership form the ownership basis of the golf course. Whereas in the States, you've got individual owners of courses, individuals who own many courses. Yeah. So that is a big difference in itself. The way golfers play, no different. We hit stray shots here all over the place. We have a lot of different types of competitions in Australia. I'd say that's the biggest difference between here and America. You could play in a competition in Australia, with your handicap, with your golf handicap, 7 days a week at most courses in Australia. There would be some form of competition on. So there's that competitive level, and everyone's always adjusting their handicaps up and down, up and down. Whereas I think in the States, there's a lot more social play, a lot more leagues where you have social leagues, which is the difference between golfers there. So yes, we had to adjust our product. We have a product called Target Scores, which gives you a score to beat for your round. So I might say, Michael, go and shoot 2 under your handicap today, and you'll win $150 to spend in the club. Now, you need to be able to justify what your handicap is with the Course Pro before you go out. Whereas in Australia, it's all regulated by Golf Australia. Everyone has a handicap through Golf Australia already. Yeah. So that's one of the big differences.
As you advance the product through and you get installed into the U.S. market, what's really your goal? Is there any particular group you're looking at? Is it private courses, public courses? Is it good for one and all? What's sort of the first place where you want to get a foothold?
Well, the public courses, the courses really where all these new players into the game have come. I really want to retain those players. I think it's really important for courses to understand that, the industry ebbs and flows, and these players might go back under the rocks where they came from. We don't know where they came from, but they might go and hide again. Or alternatively, they might go and choose a different activity.
Or the mall where they came from, or...
But they, they've got so many choices these days that golf is competing against so many choices to hold someone's attention, especially the younger generation, the 20-year-old something. They've got so much choice to be able to go and hit, and even driving ranges and things like that are a little bit competitive with going out on courses, right? So you really, really need to retain these people and give them something exciting to look forward to every time they play. Not just the first time they come and play, every time.
Yeah, I think it's really important, and so many owners understand that, and it's great that you're giving people an opportunity. You didn't want to give URLs before, but I think this is the time to do that. Where can people find out more information on the interweb about what you're doing?
On the interweb, they can go to business.golfsurprize.com. That will give you all the information about who we are, what we do. And we've got, several different websites that flow off of that, but that's where the owners will get the information they need, business.golfsurprize.com.
Outstanding. And if I'm going to come to Australia, what's the one course I should make sure that I play? I can't leave Australia without playing that course.
So if you were down in Melbourne or Victoria down south, I would have to say you would have to play the National Golf Club out on the Mornington Peninsula. If you're in Tasmania, I would have to say you must go and play Barnbougle Dunes, which is a phenomenal course. If you're in Sydney or the just north of Sydney, you must come to Horizons Golf Club, Horizons Resort. It is fabulous. There's dolphins jumping out of the water next to tee shots you're hitting. There's kangaroos jumping at, you cannot get closer to nature than up in Port Stephens. It's phenomenal.
Well, dolphins and kangaroos, I think, you sold it pretty well there, I think. That's really where I'm going. My two favorite words are road trip. So, let's try to get that organized. Hey, Anthony, congratulations on what you're doing, and we wish you much success. And when you have some more to tell us about it, you have a soapbox to stand on and a megaphone to talk into. Please don't be a stranger, okay?
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity on the show. And you guys do golf so well in the US. I'm really excited to have Golf Surprize start in the US.
Outstanding. Thanks, mate. We'll talk to you soon. That's Anthony Robinson of Golf Surprize. Again, the idea that golfers need to be entertained is actually not a new one, but I think it's just more of an imperative with the new golfer that we have, who is maybe of a different generation, younger, more used to or insisting on having entertainment that isn't necessarily just about playing well and having a good score. It's about having more of an experience. We talk about that word all the time, having an experience on the golf course. So it's great that guys like Anthony are providing ways for us to do that. And all we have to do is plug them in, give them a try, let it rip, and see what works. So hopefully some of you will be motivated to do just that. With that, I'm going to go find my way around and do something else at Primland. They got everything from golf to spa to shooting and archery. I may try some hatchet throwing or some sporting clays or something like that. But that being said, I got to go because that's the end of this particular episode of Golf Business Live. It is always a joy and a pleasure to do this. We do it all for you. Thank you so much for watching. And please join us next time. We'll be back with another great episode soon. So for everybody, Taylor, Harry, and all the gang down at the NGCOA, I'm Michael Williams for Golf Business Live.